What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 11 of Overthinking Media. I'm back from my honeymoon. I'm joined by John, as always, and Harry.
It's nice to meet you back from your honeymoon. How are you?
I'm good.
The holiday's over for us.
Hey, funny. Holiday blues. Monday, holiday blues. How are we all?
Very good.
All right.
Very good.
I was listening to the podcasts in my absence, and very entertaining.
You're welcome.
Lying on a beach, beer, listening to you guys.
Babble a lot about animals.
Can't think of anything worse.
We had Cracker on, didn't we? He was on twice. He enjoyed himself.
He did. He's now part of our most viewed podcast.
Most viewed podcast. It was last week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, last week.
Smug bugger.
Jesus off the wardrobe.
He will forever be reminding us of that every time we see him. Probably.
Yeah, probably. He's probably. I can imagine him laughing now in his little vehicle.
His little vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay, so shall we move on to this week's main topic?
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to be discussing the best and worst gaming controllers and peripherals. Harry, you want to kick us off?
Oh man. So it's got to be like the PlayStation is the PlayStation controller's the first one to have analog sticks. Am I right?
No, the PlayStation 1 didn't have analog sticks.
Dual analog sticks is what I'm on about. Sorry. Analog sticks.
I think it was the PlayStation 1 that introduced them.
N64 had a.
I think he's just talking about the PlayStation analog
PlayStation
sticks.
was the first one to have the dual analog sticks, which changed.
Yeah.
Everything. It made shoot. Remember GoldenEye on the 64 with the one analog stick? You couldn't look up, down, left, right, aim down sights. You just kind of.
You could. You used the C-pad.
Yeah, you could, but it wasn't a standard reflex like it is today. And as soon as they added that extra analog stick, console games could start matching some PC games in terms of flexibility for movement and what you did in them.
Yep.
So the PlayStation controller. Then when did the original Xbox come out? That had dual sticks as well, didn't it?
But it was in. Well, it's the same position as it is now. Yeah. Still, but a little bit. They were a little bit wider.
The Duke controller.
The PlayStation came out first. PlayStation was the first. Am I right?
I do remember picking up a PlayStation 1 controller. And
Dreamcast?
No. So I remember picking up the PlayStation 1 controller without dual analog sticks, and it feels very strange.
There's a PlayStation controller with one... With one stick?
No, with none. With no
sticks?
No sticks, just the controller itself.
Yeah, the PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
Oh, the PlayStation 1... Oh, and then they released the DualShock.
Then they released the DualShock
for the PlayStation 1.
Right.
Yeah. And then PlayStation 2 was the black sleek. So
PlayStation 2
was the first PlayStation 1 where you...
PlayStation 1 introduced it, and then PlayStation 2 sort of implemented it.
And then it became standard across the...
Because you still got to use your PlayStation 1 consoles on your PlayStation 2.
But the problem is with that, when you go to... I mean, this is a personal opinion, but when you go to Xbox, and you... Even on the original Xbox, and you had that
the Duke,
the Duke, yeah, you had the thumbsticks where one was offset from the other.
Yeah,
that is so much more comfortable than the PlayStation.
Yeah, I feel like PlayStation. I'm holding. I don't know why I'm doing things with my hands. No one can see it. But you're holding it at the sides and then stretching both thumbs into the middle.
Yeah,
where you move that left thumb up to where the Xbox One is, it's a bit more natural. It feels like you can grip the controller a little bit tighter, a bit more comfortable. PlayStation, I imagine people who play PlayStation are probably going.
I mean, I've got a PlayStation 4, and I played with the dual stick since the PlayStation 1 days, but yeah, I think the Xbox is the most comfortable controller.
It's the one that became standard for PC, essentially.
The Xbox is a heavy controller. Like when I was playing
the original Xbox.
No,
which controller, John? The Elite controller.
Oh, here we go.
I wouldn't know, Mike. I haven't got one.
That's a heavy controller.
Oh, have you got an Elite controller?
Yes,
I have.
Oh, wow! I had absolutely no idea. But particularly as you mentioned using the paddles for different actions,
you have to have an Elite controller when you play Rainbow Six Siege.
The first I've ever heard of it.
When you lean, you need the paddles. That's just what sets.
What's leaning?
John doesn't know what leaning is.
I'm still good enough. I don't need to lean.
John's the only SAS member that has a rod up his back.
Still doing okay.
Some of the kills you used to get, I was like, if you were going to lean, you would have done that so much better, and it would have looked so much, smoother the way. But you
still got the kill.
Yeah.
You know when someone's hiding behind a tree that's too small. That's what he reminds me of.
I'm sorry I'm picking on you here, John, but the best one was once you were leaning, but you were actually leaning into the cover. So you had your whole body out exposed, and then I was like, "What are you doing?"
Just like he was leaning on the wall.
Yeah.
I'm resting my gun.
Anyway,
I think because I got my PlayStation 4 birthday last year, and when I first started playing that, we were playing Rainbow Six pretty much every day at some points, and then I loaded up. I can't remember what the game was I was playing anyway, but I loaded up my first PlayStation game, and I nearly threw the controller up in the air because it was literally so light. It was kind of like, what the hell?
Oh yeah, they didn't feel like they made a paper.
Yeah, it felt like I was going to break it compared to the meat that is the Xbox controller. Still, it's a bulky controller. I don't know what the Elite's like, but I'm guessing that's heavier than...
It's heavy, but I think I wouldn't get mixed up with like the Duke's heaviness. It's more of like the quality of something.
It's a comfortable
heavy, which and the heaviness is obviously the quality side. However, I have got an issue with it. You know, the grips on the back. Obviously, we play a lot of gaming, and this is actually on. This is quite. It's been commented on around the internet. The rubber, I think it's due to the sweat and the heat from your hands.
Wearing away.
It's actually starting to peel away.
No.
It's you know what I'm like with my OCD. It's a bummer.
Yeah.
I can get it repaired for £35.
Well, at that point you repair it and never use it. It goes on display, and then what was the point in even having it in the first place?
But I am going to struggle to ever turn away. And I know it sounds like snobbish, but like I don't think I could ever not play without one now. It's like,
Yeah, so it sounds really snobbish.
It does sound snobbish. I've got Elite. I can never go back now. I am of the Elite.
I am of the Elite.
Oh, you and your non-flappy pedal controller.
A wired controller? What is this madness?
The one thing I will say about the PlayStation controllers,
you don't have to buy batteries.
Well, that's the thing. Don't they degrade? I remember when the PlayStation 3 came out, people were moaning about the longevity of the controllers. In terms of their wireless capability. I don't know how the PlayStation 4 is now because I don't play it all the time.
I've never heard.
I wouldn't say the PlayStation 3 controllers seem to last for ages, in my opinion. Not if you didn't play. If you played the PlayStation regularly, they obviously still kept the charge. But if you, I know when I went back to my PlayStation 3, I think I lent it Harry.
I played Heavy Rain.
He played Heavy Rain.
Great game.
The controllers didn't hold a charge then because I hadn't touched them probably in about 7 months. So
that's not very long for a piece of hardware to.
Well, it's like your car battery. You don't use your car for 7 months. It's gonna
a car battery and a PlayStation controller are two completely separate.
But the concept. I know what he's saying. The concept.
But it's like it didn't have. It wasn't being turned on. So
do you mean the batteries died or they weren't holding the charge?
They weren't holding the charge as long. So you charge them up, and it's basically saying half an hour.
Right.
The PlayStation 4, I don't think has the charge capacity of the PlayStation 3. So I found myself, I'd charge it up, unplug the wire, and then I'm halfway through Horizon Zero Dawn. Fair enough, time seemed to disappear in that game, and hours you seem to pass.
Yep.
But I'd find out that my controller would just die, and it'd be like, charge your battery. Fair enough.
Does it have a speaker in it?
It has... So the PlayStation 4 controller has that touchpad.
So it's got a touchpad, a light, and a speaker.
It does have a speaker, yeah.
So with that particular game, the colours did change.
And rumble. So it's drawing more power.
I think where it does have, it is drawing more power. You're right. I think where it does have a bit of an edge in terms of, if you're going to compare it to the Xbox controller. I mean, Xbox is the most personally the best controller I've ever used, but. It is nice when you're playing, like The Last of Us, for example, on the PlayStation, and the clickers, the enemies, and you actually hear a clicker clicks through the controller.
Yeah.
which is quite nice. It adds just a little bit of an extra element.
Yeah.
It's not overwhelming. It's not like something that they've put in that takes so much to. It's little subtle things.
Well, it was in Uncharted as well.
Remind me again.
I think it was when you open your pack. So you have to click on the touchpad on your controller, and it's like paper unwrapping or something like that.
I'm not a fan of the light though. I know when you die it goes red, and I don't really
understand the point of it.
Yeah.
Well, because that light is going to be, if you're sat in the dark playing a game, that light's going to be lighting up your TV.
Yeah,
it's going to be on like my TV's black, so the edges of it are shiny black, and it reflects light.
It does. Yeah.
So if I've got a light up controller, I'm going to be watching my TV immersed with like this red moving around at the bottom or around the edges of it.
You can turn it off. But again, I haven't turned mine off.
No,
it's just going to stay on as long as I have it. So that's kind of like the PlayStation and Xbox controllers. Let's go further back.
Well, I like the it's not that far back. Probably not as far back as you were about to go, but the original Wii controller and the nunchuck.
Iconic.
But because they were classic, and some of the games you were able to play with them, fair enough, the amount of TVs that have probably suffered from those controllers.
My TV took a whack with a couple of times. Yeah.
Didn't they have the wrist guards on?
Yeah, but now the thing with the Wii,
you drink a bottle of whiskey, play Wii, and put the wristband on.
It's not happening.
So we used to play. One of the games that we used to play was drink bowling.
No pun intended.
I didn't get.
I don't know what he's getting at.
No. You said we used to play the Wii. We. It doesn't matter. Forget it. Silence.
Right.
Tumbleweed.
Yep.
Yeah. But we used to play.
There it is again.
Drinking Wii bowling.
And obviously that is quite a dangerous game when you're passing between about four people. Let's say 4 people.
The rules of this game where you had 10 shot glasses lined up like bowling pins with random drinks, everything on the scale from water to absinthe. So that's water, pop, juice, and then various different alcohols, beer up to absinthe. And they'd be mixed up randomly, and then you would bowl, and anything you didn't knock down, you had to drink, and then those were replenished. And we did this like knockout tournament, and whoever lost would have drank the most and be too drunk to continue. Whoever was winning would go all the way through this tournament, but having to drink like 1 or 2 shots every time they bowled. By the time they got to the end of it, they were wrecked. It was just I think did Ollie invent that?
No, it's me.
Oh.
The Wii was a fantastic community.
I didn't invent Wii bowling, but I thought because I turned Rocket League into that drinking game, which didn't.
Shot It League.
Shot It League, yeah.
So that's just simply you have a shot every time the opposite team score.
No, but it was all.
And I nearly died.
No, me and you nearly died.
Yes. We played one game of. It was supposed to be our entire evening. We played one game, and I was lying on the floor.
We played 3 games because we switched the teams around. Because Ollie cheated.
Yeah.
Ollie cheated. Ollie, you were supposed to not. It was taking the Mario drinking game, which is you can't drink and drive, so you have to park your cart up, finish your drink, but basically you have to finish the last lap. Your drink has to be gone, but you can't drink and drive at the same time. What Ollie was doing was letting his car roll instead of putting it to a complete stop. So what we were doing was we were taking it in turns. So you'd go get the ball, I'd down my drink, and then we'd play. But Ollie was like letting his car roll while so he cheated, and I don't think he had any alcohol in it. He was just drinking Coke.
Yeah,
he's gonna. If he listens to this, he'll probably be screwing it.
Well, we've already said this
at the screen. I was drinking. I was drinking.
He was not compared to me and Harry, because I think we were paralytic after the first.
I thought it was a good idea because most Rocket League games go like 5-3 or something. But the first one we played, I went down by 11.
I was with you.
Yeah, it was like 11-1 or something. I was like,
we had to go buy more alcohol.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, what I was going to say in regards to the Wii controllers was the amount of controllers that slipped out of people's hands when they were drinking, but the games where it made you, that game kind of made you immerse more into the controller, made you immerse more in, because you had fighting games like the Dragon Ball Z, Budokai games,
well, a lot
where
of
you
games,
actually got to do the forms and the Kamehameha.
Well, it was interesting because a lot of games were obviously created to cater for these controllers, motion controllers, and hopefully moving on to a little bit of a segue, hopefully those games will come through to the Nintendo Switch because, again, they're motion controllers. So hopefully we get like Skyward Sword, HD. Then we can play it on the Switch.
Mario Party obviously got a second life because of those like the Wii controllers. Obviously, the shaking the can game was always a very interesting one because it was always men that seemed to win that one. But and if a girl won it, that was great.
Christ, John.
But the Switch has got those controllers because have you played the most? You haven't played the most recent Mario Party because I played it with Andrew.
You played with
Andrew, Kate, and Matt. We played that, and it's got some classic Mario Party games in. I can't remember which Mario Party it was. Was it Mario Party 9?
Well, you're looking at me. I don't know what you.
He's talking about
the motion controllers. That's what we're saying.
8 and 9, but 8 was the best one. 8 was the one that got the most praise.
So yeah, I mean, I did enjoy the Wii controls. I didn't enjoy the Wii U controller. That was a catastrophe.
I don't think it worked very well.
But then the mistakes that Nintendo made from the Wii U, the concept was great. I understood it, where they sort of said, here's the device that you can, if someone wants to watch the telly, you just take the device away and you can still play it on screen. So I think they were thinking kind of ahead of their time. It just didn't really work very well, and the Wii U console didn't do very well. But then they just basically, for the Switch, they just cut the controllers off the end of the Wii U controller, and that's what we have today, which is a fantastic console.
It works.
It works very really well.
Work.
I'm considering getting one when they come down in price, but then I still don't know what I would play on it. Still don't know what any game that I want to play on Switch is also on PC.
Well, what I'd do personally,
Odyssey,
if the new Switch is announced next year, which will have a bigger screen, longer battery life, I will buy it and then I will hold on to mine to sell to you.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. Okay. Cool.
If you wanted to. That's just out there, and I'd sell it you obviously cheaper than most. But yeah. But what I'm saying, that's where I'm looking forward to the future because they're talking about
a larger,
more powerful
Switch XL
battery life. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, anyway, coming off topic a bit. So yeah, I mean, the Nintendo have had an interesting run of controllers.
They are innovative in regards to their console design. Look at the N64 controller.
Well, hold that thought because we're just going to go back down a little bit. We're going to go to the GameCube next, we're sort of going back in history. Now we recently played the GameCube controller Saturday.
It's a great controller. We had the adapter for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Fantastic, yeah. I'm going to get it myself, I think, this week.
And I will be round.
Yes, well, you can all come round whenever you want.
I'll just be here.
But yeah, I enjoyed that controller. I didn't have a GameCube, funny enough, at the time. I was a kid. I wanted one because they released a Zelda HD collection, didn't they? A Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask.
I don't know. There's only a few games that I know of on the GameCube, and they were all multiplayer because basically Ollie has every console.
Yeah.
And I think Andrew had a GameCube as well when I started hanging out with him and his Kaylee. But it was there were only multiplayer games that I would play, like WWE Day of Reckoning and Smash Brothers Brawl. And that was probably the main one that I played.
Well, that's it. I mean, I'm going to get Smash Brothers Ultimate, but I'm going to get this controller, not the adapter one. I'm going to get the one that's
the one that I sent you the other day.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm ever going to use that controller other than this, which is great. I mean, I can still use it. I still got one.
That's why they gave the adapter out, because one of the things that people complained about the Nintendo stuff is if you have more than 4 friends, you've got to buy 4 controllers.
They're 21 quid each now on games, so that's like, a lot of money to fork out just to play with your mates.
Yeah, that's the issue.
See, it's good that they did the adapter.
It's good that they did the adapter because people that have the GameCube controller, It was what was good about the PlayStation 2. You could bring your PlayStation 1 controllers and play on the PlayStation 2, and you had the multi-tap that used to plug into the PlayStation as well.
I remember living rooms full of cables when I was a kid.
Well,
you'd have a PlayStation plugged in, and then like the multi-tap, and then just cables coming out the front of it to all the different people, and then cables coming out the back of it to the TV.
The last SmackDown game before they became SmackDown vs. Raw, which was the one that you could have 8
Here comes the
people.
pain.
Yeah, and you had 2 multi-tabs, so there was eight controllers, and obviously they were all wired then. So your living room, if someone walked past, or the dog walked past and took all the controllers out the way.
I used to carry my TV and my PlayStation 2 over to my friend's house when I was a kid.
I used to have
every weekend, and we would sit them next to each other. Their parents would be out drinking, and we would literally just be playing games together.
Yeah.
Me and Harry spent nights. I used to take the PlayStation 3 round the flat in Dudley.
Yeah.
And we used to just sit there, and I used to have a big disc packet of all the games.
Yeah.
It was easier to take the disc packet.
Yeah.
Like we played Resident Evil 5 on. Was it like 5?
We played that at yours. Played Resident Evil 5 all the way through. Yeah.
But I used to take you don't need to do it anymore because you've
got games cases now where you actually plug your console into this briefcase, and then the other top of the other side of the briefcase has a screen in it. You just carry it all that way.
So let's go on to the Dreamcast controller. I didn't have a Dreamcast.
Nope, didn't have one.
Those things were massive. I never.
They had a little screen on them.
Yeah,
I do remember
a Game Boy screen.
I remember in a documentary.
Ollie had one.
I'm sure. Well, yeah, this is where Ollie would be good to talk about these sorts of things. But I remember the Dreamcast was ahead of its time because it did have an Ethernet cable connection, which no one ever did at the time. It was thinking 5 years into the future that console was. But I don't know, what was the whole purpose of that little screen? Was it like a little touch screen?
Some of the games that I have played on it, again, when we've done some game nights with the retro stuff, is one of the games had stuff on it, so cues for that player.
Right.
But again, not many games implemented it because
I suppose it would be intended for looking through inventory.
Yeah.
So instead of having the inventory come up on your TV, the inventory comes up on your little controller, and you can select a health potion on your controller, and then it uses it on the screen.
Interesting stuff, though. I mean, if you look at that at the time, let's go back to when that was released. It kind of harps on to what's released today, where you look at the Switch, you can just take the Switch away from its housing and go and play it in bed. I suppose the Dreamcast, you could take a little mini gaming console from the controller and go to bed with it. So it was thinking ahead of its time.
Yeah.
You know what did that as well? A Game Boy.
It did, but it wasn't as powerful as a console.
Did you ever try playing a Game Boy in bed?
You couldn't see anything.
You couldn't see anything. They weren't backlit. Man, that's an old problem.
I had the original first Game Boy.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, they
with Mario, and you couldn't see anything.
You had to be staring in the face of the sun to play that.
Well, no, it's like that thing where it had all those components to it. It had the magnifying glass, the light, the printer, and it was like, this is not even my final form.
I didn't have a printer.
I can't remember what it's called, but there's one of those lights and magnifying glasses that has speakers on the side, and it triples the size of the Game Boy. You plug the Game Boy in, and then you have to take the battery pack out and then clip it, like plug it into the battery pack. And it's got a magnifying glass and a light and then these wings that fold out that are speakers, and those speakers are quieter than the Game Boy speakers. And then in the back, you've got space for 4 games.
Is it that?
It is that, yeah.
Yeah. It's the fully loaded.
I know all our listeners can't actually see this, but we're looking at the fully loaded extension for the original Game Boy. That looks...
Candy Boy.
Can you imagine walking around the street with that?
Well, you probably wouldn't, would you?
You might as well just take your Nintendo games console.
Yeah, the original Nintendo Game Boy Genie, that's another version of it.
I enjoyed do you remember the flip Game Boy? It was like a little clamshell.
Game Boy Advance?
Yeah, but it was a clamshell. Yeah, but the clamshells, and they just opened up. I remember playing Pokemon on them. That was some good times.
I don't think I had a Game Boy Color.
Game Boy Color.
The little mini ones. I played Pokemon and Legend of
Zelda.
Oh, hold on.
Link's Awakening.
It was Game Boy, then Game Boy Color, then the Game Boy Advance was the rectangular shaped one.
Yeah.
Then they did the Game Boy Advance clamshell. I think the Mini was in there at some point as well.
Yeah, and then it became
DS.
DS, which the Nintendo DS, the original Nintendo DS, I played a lot of.
Yeah.
Brain Training was
Well, I think my mum even had a Nintendo DS because of the Brain Training.
Yeah,
They're great. They're very good education.
I have a Nintendo 3DS, which I, to be honest, have not. I bought for Kate Animal Crossing, and Kate played Animal Crossing to death
on it.
And I bought it for the Pokemon Diamond. I can't remember. Not Diamond, it's after Diamond.
Played it for a couple of weeks and then put it down, never to be seen again.
I didn't know any of the Pokemon. I got a little bit like, I'm really too old.
Yeah, John, I'm the same with Pokemon, mate. I like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is interesting to me because it's going back to the old stuff with the new skin. The next Pokemon that comes out on the Switch next year, Ollie's really excited. I'm just like, I do not know anything past the second generation.
No.
The second, I want to say the second game, it was, oh God, Gold?
Don't look at me. I know nothing about
Silver and Gold.
It had the dog.
I know Pokemon Blue.
Silver and
That's
Gold.
second generation, yeah.
What was good about that game?
Raikou.
I think I've said this before.
Suicide.
What was good about that game is you went back and did the first game after you'd done the main game. So it was essentially you complete this, you get an expansion to the first game, which is what I said they should have carried on doing. So that's what a console game should be for Pokemon now. Is what they should do for this one is instead of releasing a new game every year, they'll release a new game every year. They should just add DLC onto it, and it will have the Kanto, the Johto, and keep the game turn it into an ongoing game like Pokemon Go has been. That's been out 3 years.
Or just a slight little adaptation to what we're talking about. There is a controller for Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu and Pokemon Go. It's like a little
Pokeball,
yeah. Which is an interesting concept. How does it work? Does anyone know?
I don't know. I'm guessing that the centre of... this is purely speculation from seeing videos. The centre of the Pokeball is like a little joystick.
Oh, okay. So that's how you sort of navigate.
Yeah. And then when you want to catch a Pokemon, I think you...
It's just a motion controller.
Click your wrist.
And I'm sure that it vibrates when it's in your pocket. So like if you've got Pokemon...
Well, yeah, because they released with Pokemon Go, the Pogo.
Yeah. No, it was a keychain, wasn't it?
Pogo.
No, it was a keychain that did the
Pokemon
same thing.
Pokemon Plus, that was it. And it's essentially, you wore it like a Fitbit, and every time it vibrated, and if it was like green, I think it was a Pokemon, and you click it and you catch the Pokemon. If it was yellow, it was a Pokestop. And loads of people had that, but I think one of the complaints people had with it was the battery.
Right, didn't last very long.
I don't think it lasted very long. It was hard to change.
Does Pokemon Go still drain your battery on your phone?
No, it's actually far better than it was. And they've obviously added now that, which they should have done originally, it syncs to your Fitbits. Mm-hmm. So you don't even have to have the game open, because one of the main thing was, and that's why it was draining your battery, you had to walk around with it on, the game actually open in your pocket to get any kilometers.
You, if George hears this, that in the future this game is now being downloaded as we speak.
Yeah, okay. It goes on your Fitbit, so I log on now and I get about 3 eggs.
Yeah, but she loves the Fitbit.
Okay.
She loves the Fitbit and loves The Walking Dead, Pokemon Go.
Okay, we're getting slightly off topic.
Well, it is. It's form of.
I suppose your mobile phone touchscreen is a controller.
No. Okay, so we're going to go on to the N64 controller, which
classic.
Well, I have fond memories of that controller. However, pick one up now. Try and play a game with that now.
You can't get your fat hand in it. You basically play it. Well, I play it how my dad used to play it. Now, my dad used to hold the sides.
Yeah.
I don't. I hold the
and stretch his big thumb over to the centre of the joystick, and I used to watch him and go, "That looks very painful."
Yeah, that looks
straining
weird.
on the old thumb there.
That looks weird and old. Dad, you're old.
Yeah, you're old, and now we're old because we can't get our fat hands into. Well, it's basically.
I think I played one recently, and it wasn't that hard. I just
try and play.
It wasn't very responsive.
Yeah, try and play GoldenEye now.
It did feel good though. It slotted into your hand, and you could just like play. It was good. It was
very, very comfortable.
I played the main game that I played on that was No Mercy.
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye I played on it a lot.
Perfect Dark.
Didn't play Perfect Dark.
Wave Race.
Banjo Kazooie.
Oh,
yeah. But I don't know. That console controller was just comfortable. But the thing that. And you also got the adapter to put your Game Boy games in it, so you could play your Game Boy games. Obviously, Pokemon was the one that...
I don't remember that.
So, Pokemon... Again, Pokemon Stadium, and this is Nintendo, obviously, that's their big money earner. You had the Game Boy games, and they released Pokemon Stadium, which was, you could then play Pokemon on your TV, but most people didn't want to just play with the random selected ones, so you could have this thing which you stuck into where the Rumble Pack went on the N64, and then you could stick your Game Boy game in.
Well, I remember the memory cards went in there and the Rumble Packs.
Yeah. Remember Rumble Packs were like really heavy. They used to tilt your controller forward.
Well, on Ocarina of Time, if you walk past a hole with the Rumble Pack in it, was called the Stone of Agony. You used to it was an item that you could get in the game called the Stone of Agony. I don't know if anyone remembers this.
No.
And you know the holes that you could put bombs down and blow up and go down? It's little secrets. It would rumble when you went past.
Oh.
So like that happens now in like Tomb Raider and every
Red
game.
Dead.
Rumbles to let you know there's something there.
Yeah. So
Red Dead with the dream catchers.
Yeah. Making vibrations.
Good vibrations.
Since, 1996, I think, when it came out. Yes, that was a great controller.
It was one of the first consoles that I bought myself. The N64 was.
Really?
I saved up my money and my pocket money. Fair enough, I got a lot of help off my mum, dad.
Of course you did.
We all did back then.
And it was like basically me and Ben basically kind of like saved a little bit of money for it, and we ordered it from a magazine.
Blimey. That's 90s.
Yeah, we ordered it from a magazine because we'd seen, Pokemon's coming out. We like Pokemon. We're playing Red and Blue. We'll buy this. And
Pokemon
that was
Snap.
No, Pokemon Stadium.
Oh, right.
We did have Pokemon Snap on it because that was a weird game. But essentially, the N64 was our upgrade from the Mega Drive.
So we could go on about this all night. We could name every
Well, to be
single...
honest, it was going to be the Mega Drive, and then I couldn't go any further back
No,
because
I
that
know,
was my
but
first console.
We haven't even talked about things like the Super Scope and the Power Glove.
Well, that's what I mean.
And that insane period of the 80s and 90s where everything had to have some weird peripheral.
That's the 80s in general, wasn't it? Like, be different, look different. We could go on about this all night. Unfortunately, I've got to move on to the next topic. But yeah, I mean, some golden classics in there, some bad ones as well.
Expensive now, some of them.
Yep, they are. But yeah, let's move on to what are we watching? What are we playing? What's going on? John, start with you.
What am I playing? I finished... You can probably guess what I finished. Finished Red Dead. Mm-hmm. So
no spoilers.
Completely up to date, so I can fully discuss that with Harry now.
Yeah, I need to finish it.
Other than that, not a fat lot. I tried to play that Star Trek Fleet Commander that I mentioned last week.
That's on iOS, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe I just don't have the patience for it anymore, and especially because it's
not Jurassic Park. It's not got a Jurassic Park or Marvel skin. That might be why.
No, because it's not the next gen or stuff like that. It's the Kelvin. I don't know what
the Diet Star Trek.
One thing you did play, we mentioned it earlier. Me and you played.
Oh, we played Super Smash Brothers.
Smash Brothers Ultimate, yeah.
But yeah,
I never heard of that. What's that about?
You have heard of it.
He's winding you up, you dick.
The new
Captain Falcon game.
Yeah,
correct. Okay,
you know, it was rubbish, Captain Falcon.
You're only going to say that because you're wrong.
Well, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I hadn't sunk my teeth into it. Every time I used to play it with you guys, I used to come round.
Oh,
hold on. I used to come round.
Haven't played it.
Shut up.
Shut up. Haven't played it. What does he do? Wins the first bloody game.
Of course he does.
I did that in Mortal Kombat. No, Justice 2 with you. I beat you.
Injustice 2 you beat me.
But that was like a
Smash Brothers, you won your first game.
Who did you play as on your first game?
Samus.
Oh, friend of Captain Falcon's, that was why.
So every time I played it in the past, I'd come round to you with you guys. Ollie brought his console round. This was the Wii U.
Brawl.
It would have been the Wii U, yeah.
And I remember, a couple of hours we'd play it, but I didn't really sink my teeth into it. I used to get beaten up by you guys, but we started really early this time round, didn't we? We started about 6, 7 o'clock, and we played till like midnight. So we got a good 6 or so hours. I know we ate in between and chatted and whatnot and drank, but I really got my teeth into Young Link by the end of it, and I wasn't smashing everyone, but I was holding my own. I could win a few fights. Obviously, a few of them were fluky, but
that's pretty much my Smash career.
Yeah, but
get beat, and
it's
then
made me want to go and get it. That's First for me in Smash.
Yeah, I do fit like one of the things they've changed now, which is good, is the Ultimate Smash. So you get the Smash Ball.
Right.
So one of the things that's funny is there's 2 Smash Balls now. There's a fake Smash Ball which explodes on you and basically knocks you out.
Really
and then you've got your other Smash Ball. But the Smash Ball is a targeted one. So you know Captain Falcon's with the car?
You just have to press B in the right
and
place.
if you get the person in the thing, you grab them. They're all like that now.
Right, okay, so...
So there's no Pikachu or Supersonic where I have to fly around the screen and I could miss everyone.
They all drop into a cutscene of the people
basically,
you've
and you can hit multiple people,
Well,
but essentially...
Bowser's, for example, he goes big back of the screen like a backdrop, and then you aim where you want to punch.
Right.
Yeah, it's Giga Bowser punch now instead of Giga Bowser walking around the screen.
And Samus is a beam of light,
That's
which you
the same as
can
it was.
slightly aim up and down, but it's,
That's the same as it was last time.
Okay, but Young Link, I don't think it's very good. You have to literally be right in front of them to implement it.
Well, again, we unlocked probably, I want to say 10 people.
Yeah.
Now, it was Ollie's game. So, Ollie had already unlocked a few people. The first person Ollie unlocked was Sod's Law, was Marth.
Oh, no.
So, you can imagine who he was playing as. But
he was playing as Jigglypuff and doing
He was playing as Jigglypuff.
You know the special move where it floats down and knocks you up? He does that all the time.
That's OP. So, literally, you can have 0% and that hits you, you're gone.
Well, you can survive.
You can survive it if you're Bowser and Donkey Kong. But it's just like... I think we all told him to stop playing, is it? Because we were all getting pissed off with him. By the end
was
of
annoying. Even
Craig was getting
annoyed. Yeah,
was he doing that fucking laugh?
Yeah,
I thought so.
But it was just that was one of the issues. I think they've nerfed Pikachu a little bit, in my opinion.
I didn't know you should play as him, to be honest with you, John.
Really? So I actually was playing quite a lot as Donkey Kong.
That's where all John was doing was spamming the up attack button, and he was doing this,
clapping in the air
every time, and I was like, God.
Clap to the left, clap to the right, clap up. It was
and
funny.
no one told me about heavy attacks.
We did tell you about heavy attacks.
No, you didn't. Until like halfway through the night. Then when I started learning heavy attacks, and then Gina was like, do you know there's grapples as well? I was like, mate.
There's how to block.
So... Yeah, well, I was told that. They told me how to block, even though you don't really block that much. No. And so when I was grappling John and smashing John up.
One of the things that I will probably say is it kept switching the controllers round. So when we back out of the menu, even though I was like player one game, for some reason it would switch and I'd be player 4 and I'd be like, we haven't done anything. Why has the controller changed? And then we'd all switch our controllers round because But I do think that the controllers that Ollie has got are the original GameCube controllers, so they are probably now 20 years old? Something like that.
15, 16.
I
got my GameCube in like 2002.
I think it was 2004.
I do think there was a little bit of lag on one of the controllers, not in regards to lag, like the analog stick wouldn't go all the way.
Yeah, you did complain about that, didn't you?
It was a little bit pulley.
Was that when he lost?
I think it was just an excuse.
No, I didn't. I didn't win. I didn't win a lot. But
John,
it was just fun. And there's 77 characters, and they announced the new one.
It's everything. Instead of making a Smash Bros with some new stuff,
yeah, it's no longer a Nintendo exclusive party now.
It's just everything that's ever been in Smash Bros before is in this game, plus all the extra stuff.
You say that, John. You're right. What you're saying that there's not just first party stuff in there, there's third party stuff, but it is things that have come onto the consoles.
Yeah, it's all Nintendo games.
Yeah, so like Snake, he was on a Snake Eater version on the Nintendo 3DS. So that's why he's in there.
Yeah, rumours are Banjo's going to be one of the DLC. Because they've got 4 fighters in the Super Smash?
The plan?
That's Piranha guy.
Yeah.
He's actually in the main game.
Okay, well he's the first DLC character in January, so Ollie tells me.
Oh, is he?
The Piranha Plant. Yeah.
Oh no, he's like free if you pre-order the game. I think you get him, but he doesn't get released till January.
Yeah. So I
could be wrong.
The first character, the first DLC character, is a character from Persona 5.
Yeah,
PlayStation game.
It's the Joker, isn't it?
Yeah, Joker.
Joker, yeah.
So is that like a Batman Joker, or is it just an iteration?
It's just a character called Joker.
Okay,
no relation.
No,
so,
not Batman.
Harry, what have you been playing?
Oh man! So I've still been playing Celeste, which is
that's on my to-do list. Yeah.
Yeah, it's up there with one of my. It might be one of my favourite games of the year. I don't think it is the favourite game of the year. It's still infuriating, but in that way that you walk into a room, you can see each room is like a puzzle. You walk in the room, you can see, right, what have I got to do here? And it looks impossible. But as you start trying to jump through it, you start working it out, and you get further and further and further. I think I've clocked up nearly 500-600 deaths now, or something like that, and it gives you a little loading screen that says, "Be proud of your death count," because it means that you're trying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, I'm proud of my little 600 death count," and it's one of the best games I've played this year.
Well, what did it win, John?
Indie game.
Indie Game
At the Game Awards last week, it won the best indie game. That was the first award given on the night.
And the woman who did the soundtrack, she was part of the orchestra on the night because the soundtrack was up for nomination.
She was with Hans Zimmer. I forget the other two gents. But she was up there as well.
The soundtrack's phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's the entire game is based around you climbing a mountain. You don't know why, and you meet these characters along the way. But it seems to be, I don't want to spoil it where it's going, but it seems to be going more around like different parts of your personality and like different worries and stuff that you're going through for life. You're just trying to climb this mountain to overcome all of them. Fantastic.
Is there a good story as well?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's not like, it's quite, it's not like a badass story or anything. It's like quite tame, but it's very, it's endearing. It's very nice.
I said to you before the podcast that Limited Run Games, a company that release digital games physically due to their popularity, they're releasing Celeste in January. They put a Twitter up about it today. I will be buying based on reviews, the Game Awards award, and your recommendations. It's on my to-do list big time.
It has these nice little floating strawberries that you can collect, and they mean nothing. They're more just like, there's a loading screen that tells you.
But you've got to get them.
They're just there to show off to your friends. They mean nothing. And you get into a room, you see one, and you think, "Oh, I can get that." And then that's you for half an hour trying to get this bloody strawberry that you don't need. You don't need it, but you've done it for half an hour. You pass the point of return.
Anything else? You were playing Prison Architect, wasn't you?
I've been playing Prison Architect, but that's just looking at a map and building a prison.
Yeah.
I have played and finished on Game Pass. There's like the Gardens Between.
Okay.
So
I saw you'd finished that.
Yeah.
Any good?
Yes. It's very short, so it's like there's not a lot to it, but it's also very short, so it's a quick experience. It's this game where it's this boy and this girl live next door to each other, and the garden is like a shared garden, so they built a tree house in there. And I won't give any away of the story, but you almost play through their memories of building this tree house together. And the only controls are reverse time and forward time. And
like Braid?
No, because Braid's a platformer with a time reversing mechanic.
Yeah.
The way you move forwards and backwards is to reverse time, so it's almost like a cutscene. These characters walk around this spiral level in a cutscene, and you can reverse and rewind, and then you can press A to kind of select on something. So one character can carry a lamp that opens doors, and another character can touch switches. So you have to so if there's a blockage that needs the lamp to open the blockage, you have to kind of reverse all the way forward, so the character who hits switches can hit a switch, which opens up the lamp light, but back at the beginning of the level. So you have to rewind the level, pick up the lamp, then rewind it all the way back forwards. It's like going backwards and forwards through time to solve these puzzles.
Majora's Mask style.
Yeah. It's very it's very good. It's for the amount of time it took me. That was the perfect amount of time. I couldn't do an 8-hour game with it. I 100%ed it in maybe 4 hours.
I came back off my honeymoon, and I was thinking, what do I go back to? I thought, do I go back to Red Dead?
Should have.
Well, I had enough of Red Dead at the point of leaving.
I feel you made a better choice.
Yeah, I went back and finished Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider,
yes.
and I'm so happy that I did. I was getting a little bit frustrated with Red Dead. I was doing a lot of side stuff. I wasn't really focusing on the story.
There's with Rockstar games, there's side stuff, and then there's deep side stuff. You were doing deep side stuff.
Like, I was trying.
You were doing collectibles.
You were like, you know how when someone goes missing and they get this row of people walking through the woods, you were doing that on your own.
I know, and I got to that point where I was just about to leave for my honeymoon, and I was like, I don't really want to come back and do this again. So I think I'm gonna jump back into Red Dead, finish the story.
You need to finish the story. Yeah. It obviously, speaking of Red Dead, it won best narrative.
Everything?
No, it didn't win everything.
It won everything apart from Game of the Year.
Well, God of War rightfully won that.
It won best narrative, and the guy that
wasn't being absolute in mistake.
And the guy that plays Arthur won best portrayal of a character.
Yeah, I love seeing.
Rightly deserved.
When he accepted the award, I love what it is. Actually seeing these people.
He's a chubby half.
Well, yeah, the voice our characters, and you see them. Like when I used to look at David Hayter, who played Solid Snake. When you hear him and see him, it's like so odd. Yeah. Like you see these people that you don't
put that. They talk in a normal voice. And you're like, wait, what?
So I'm gonna definitely go back and do Red Dead story. I will definitely do it. Whether I go back and do all the collectibles and stuff, I don't know. I love games like I got all the collectibles for Tomb Raider. There's certain things that pull me in, like the Batman stuff with the Riddler trophies and stuff. But I'm glad I finished Tomb Raider. I got another hour to do it, and I'll finish where I need to go with it. And then I'm gonna get Smash, I think, and then Below comes out next week on Game Pass.
Yeah, so I intend to play Ashen this week.
Yeah.
Ready to play Below next week.
Yeah, because Below is a very, very anticipated game for me. Exclusive to Xbox and PC.
I've not seen anything of Below. All I've heard about is kind of like the IGN Unlocked podcast. They talk about Below all the time.
Yeah, well, it was 5 years ago. It was at E3 introduced, and it's 5 years. Yeah, so it's a long time.
Everyone's been talking about this game, and they said that we're definitely releasing in 2018. People were like, "But 2018 is almost over," and then they were like, at the Game Awards, it was bang, it's out next week. So I don't know anything about this game. I'm going to play it regardless.
So in between, we had
Game Awards.
We had Game Awards. We briefly touched on that. God of War rightfully won Game of the Year, in my opinion.
I don't know. I've not played it.
I haven't played it.
So because I obviously have an argument for Red Dead and Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, I've played them all. I mean, I haven't finished Red Dead story, but even what I've played of Red Dead, the story of God of War is...
I'm glad a licensed game got into at least the nominations. Because licensed games nowadays are the ones that do the worst. Like, games made of movies historically have been that bad that they don't really make them anymore. So for Batman...
Same as movies made from games.
Batman was this anomaly. The Arkham Batman was an anomaly for a while. Now Spider-Man's come along and prove that if you put the effort in, you can make these franchise games good. So hopefully there's more.
Spider-Man's fantastic. I'm going to play all the DLC at Christmas when it's all fully out.
Yeah, next one's got Hammerhead. Yeah, Hammerhead.
Hear about Rocksteady games?
They're releasing something.
So people were saying to them, "Oh, hey, you haven't released anything for a while since Arkham Knight. Are you going to be at the Game Awards?" Like, we're not at the Game Awards.
Isn't it a rumoured new Batman game?
No.
There is a rumor about that, but I don't think that's what they're...
So they said after Arkham Knight...
Court of the Owls, wasn't it?
That's, that's Warner Brothers Montreal.
Yeah.
Not Rocksteady. Yeah. That's who made Batman Origins.
Which I loved, by the way.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with it.
It just doesn't quite have the polish that the other three have.
Yeah, it kind of took... What I think people's issue is with that game...
He had the grappling hook before.
No, it's...
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Like the Arkham games had this unique style which went through all the games. Origins just went, okay, we're going to take what you've made and just basically put our own twist on it. So they changed the voice actors on all the characters,
I didn't really notice.
which I didn't really notice. But then they also changed the style. Now, fair enough, Batman was far younger, which wasn't an issue.
I liked
but they changed
tiny ears and
but I think that's what people's problem was with it. But like
the Deathstroke
fight wasn't as long as I wanted it to be.
It was very good. It felt like you were taking on someone else. Like it felt like Deathstroke had all the abilities that you had,
Yeah.
and and there was another person controlling Deathstroke. It was a very, very good fight.
It was very good, and I love the idea of Black Mask was the overall arching villain, but then you had obviously a contract out on your head, so then you got introduced to all these other characters that wanted a piece of Batman. It was at Christmas time. I loved it, but yeah, we're going off topic. What did Rocksteady say? Superman, they denied it, didn't they?
So they said...
Which means that they are...
So, the speculation, they said that basically we're going to announce our game in the first quarter. So that's January, February, March. And they said it's not a Superman game. But the fact that they said it's not a Superman game is leading everyone to believe
that it is a Superman game.
Justice League game.
So, someone said in the top comments, I think it was on IGN, the first comment, when the title was Rocksteady deny that they're making a Superman game, and someone put, that kind of sounds like someone who was actually making a Superman game say they weren't making it.
When I announce my Superman game, I want people to cheer and not expect it, so I'm going to say I'm not making it.
I mean, I hope they do a Superman game.
I just imagine Rocksteady carrying they've got like a bag full of Superman stuff, and they're like, don't look, as we can clearly see it's Superman.
So briefly, just before we move on to the film discussion this week, how did everyone feel about trailer 2 for Captain Marvel? I, by the way, loved it. The first one was horrendous.
Yep.
The second one was fantastic.
The second one
That's the trailer you want to discuss.
I don't want to discuss it in depth. We've got to move on. But I'm just saying that dropped obviously between last week's podcast and this week's podcast. I enjoyed it.
I liked it, but there's another trailer.
Oh, right. So we'll just skip over what Mike wants to talk about.
But no,
your 30-second bloody teaser of nothing.
2 minutes.
It will come. Just what are your thoughts on the Captain Marvel trailer, briefly?
I like they went and showed that it was quite clearly a Skrull, that the old lady was quite clearly a Skrull, because they've obviously probably had feedback that she punched an old lady.
Oh, if people didn't get that, then you'd have.
No, but I really liked it. It showed.
Did that really happen? Were people kicking off about the old lady?
Oh, can you believe they punched an old lady? Come on.
It's a universe where people can disappear at the click of a finger.
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
I
like it.
Don't fall down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. It is Samuel L. Jackson, yet Marvel, I don't know what DC did with that bloody mustache on Superman, but if they can make Samuel L. Jackson look like he
practical.
did Yeah,
it's
practical effects.
That. You know, that's not the first time they've done that. They did that to Michael Douglas in Ant-Man.
This isn't CG. This isn't CG. They practically affects makeup a de-aged Samuel L. Jackson.
But he looks.
No, you look at the making of pictures. There's some pictures, on-set pictures, and he still looked. They've done some touch-ups in CG, but they've de-aged him physically.
He looks amazing. But again, it's an origin story. I'm guessing it will be probably the last 2 minutes of the film that has further Marvel cinematic
she'll
implications.
Get the page from Nick Fury, and she'll fly off into space. And
probably the end credits scene.
Yeah, she'll probably
the end credits. It'll be like 30 years later.
Yeah, she'll probably, on her way to Earth, she'll probably stop by and rescue Tony Stark, which leads me to the next segue.
Oh,
did you see what I did there?
I never thought you'd get away like that.
Avengers trailer.
Yep. What I like about it is it hasn't. We know they're coming back, but it hasn't shown any of the heroes that were, because the Snap has a name now. It's called the Decimation.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought it was called the Snappening.
Yeah,
the Snappening. I see what you did there. So, but you do see them briefly. They're on. The characters are on sort of a holographic screen.
Yeah, but there's only one character on the holographic screen.
Yeah, there's two, John.
Shuri's on there as well.
Yeah, but Shuri was always confirmed to have not been in the Snap. She was never shown on screen.
Doesn't mean she was confirmed.
Okay.
She was never.
Yeah.
But what I'm on about is the ones only Spider-Man was shown. The ones that we know.
All I'm saying is, if Spider-Man's up there on that screen, they're talking about the people. It's going through as they're having a conversation. All the people that they've lost. Yeah. And Shuri's on there. She's not just on there.
It didn't say how long after it's been.
I hope it's a good couple of years.
Because there was a rumour that it was going to be 2 years after. But again, that's a long time.
Yeah.
For half the population of the universe not to be around. Because what's going to happen when they all come back? Is it going to revert?
I feel
There's time travel in this film.
Yeah. Well, we know.
I feel like too much would fall apart if it was too
Yeah.
The way the world works, if you lost half the population of planet Earth, too much would fall to pieces.
Well, I think that's going to be the case. I think what's going to happen is we're going to see time travel. We're going to obviously see what happens. Captain Marvel's going to come in and kick some ass, whatever. Great. I think what's going to happen is, have you seen the concept art of all of them wearing these similar suits? Even Hulk's wearing like a sort of...
Yeah.
Like a costume.
Dr. Hulk or Dr. Banner.
Yeah, so what I think... Yeah, so that's where Banner and Hulk become one now, and there's no discrepancy between the persona.
Yeah.
What I reckon is going to happen is the first couple of scenes of the movie is going to be a distraught Earth where, we've lost half the population, and I reckon the Avengers and people with power and the armies are all going to be on standby around the Earth. Like, we're going to see Hulk just standing outside the Avengers facility, just waiting, just in case anything comes again, now that they're weaker. And then we're going to get the whole Scott Lang's going to turn up. He's obviously been in the quantum realm.
Yeah, that's going to have some form of bearing on it.
Escalation, and that's where we're going to go down the time.
He'll discover something in the quantum realm, and he'll turn up and say, "Hey, this is how we get them back," and then that'll kick off the film.
Yeah. I like what they did in this trailer because they were quite clearly missing in Infinity War, and obviously everyone was like, "When's Ant-Man appearing? Where's Hawkeye?" Yeah. They were given prominence in this trailer. Ant-Man came at the end and was like, "Okay, there's your hope. Ant-Man is your hope," because even Captain America goes, "How old's this video?"
He thinks he's watching a video because he still sometimes forget that Captain America's from the 1950s. And still doesn't quite get how stuff works. I love that even like 4 or 5 films of Captain America was still doing he doesn't quite get technology stuff. I love that.
And then you've got Hawkeye, who is now in his Ronin gear.
His family clearly
obviously
vanished,
either his entire family's gone, or
another one bites the dust.
No, it could even be. It could be really. I just thought of something that could be really bad. She was pregnant. What if she disappeared and the baby just fell onto the floor?
That would be weird because that would be a fetus just dropping onto the
floor. Well, she was. That just.
I think that if
that's why he could be traumatised because he lost his child.
I think it's enough to lose your children and your wife. I don't think we need a fetus falling on the floor.
What?
If they died, if she was pregnant, they all went away. Yeah. And that's why he's Ronin, and I reckon he's going to be much darker.
You see him slit someone's throat with a samurai sword.
I'm going to miss the bow and arrow because I think he's very good with the bow.
He still uses the bow and arrow.
I'm just saying. He's got a sword in this one, so. Okay, so we're going to have to move on.
Why?
Because we're nearly an hour in, and we've still got the film discussion to get through. This week's film, as mentioned by Harry last week, is A Fish Called Wanda.
Is it?
Thoughts and impressions?
I asked that and he said no. I really enjoyed it. It's a classic kind of heist movie.
Have you ever seen it before?
I don't think I've ever seen it before, no, but I really enjoyed it. I watched it last night. Jamie Lee Curtis, when she was very, very, very good looking.
Yep.
She's aged really well, to be honest. She's 60 now. But she was great in the film. Obviously, she was playing all the men, and then she falls for the very unlikely John Cleese character. Because he seems to be everything she's wanted, because he genuinely likes her. He can speak many foreign languages,
which turns her on. Ultimately,
and it's just great. But like the start of the film, I immediately liked, what was his name?
Ken.
Michael
Palin.
Obviously, Michael Palin. He's feeding the fish. You've got the posters of him saying "save the animals" and everything, and I was like, "Oh, I really like this guy." And then he's got the stutter. He's genuinely he's a criminal. You don't know that at the start of the film, but even during it, you really like him, and obviously his whole story arc in that film.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
I have a bone to pick with you.
Why?
About his character.
Go on.
I haven't laughed that hard
so good.
when he tries to assassinate that woman over there. And he keeps knocking off the dogs. And by the third one, I was on the floor. Because he's like, he kills the 2 dogs and he's distraught about killing the dog.
He's wearing an armband.
And then he tries to kill her in a way that's not going to hurt the dog. And it's like this domino effect and still squashing that dog. And then it ends up killing it. I was on the floor.
It's brilliant.
When he accidentally kills the dog and he turns around the window and goes, "Oh!"
It's classic. Monty Python.
Yeah, it was. To be fair, it was less classic Monty Python. It was more a normal American heist movie comedy with like a twist. It had like a lemon twist of Monty Python in there. It had those thumbprints of John Cleese wrote it, so it had his footprints in there, and it had a lot of that in it. But it wasn't full on Life of Brian or anything like that.
No, I get you. I think the classic torture scene as well, where he's trying to get the information out of him. And he puts ketchup on the chips and puts them up his nose.
And then he puts the pear in his mouth.
And he can't breathe. But he's eating all his fish. Oh, God. It's brilliant.
Kevin Kline, this movie
I really felt for him.
And what's his name? Ken.
And Otto. Otto was great.
Kevin Kline, amazing.
Yeah, Otto... There's a condition for what Otto suffered from where he basically hates the English.
Yeah.
And I can't...
Racism.
No, it's called Anglophobia or something.
Yeah. He's American in this though, isn't he?
He's American in this.
He is American.
He's a classic Mel Gibson, created an entire movie because he hated the English, which was historically inaccurate. He's a classic Mel Gibson, just hates English people.
Kevin Kline made a...
No. John said that the character of Kevin Kline hates the English.
Otto, yeah. It's not Kevin Kline though.
No,
Mel Gibson hates the English.
I know. I'm just saying that's the category I'd say he falls under.
But yeah, he was like simple. He was a stereotypical American at the same time. Like you think he's better than the English because obviously Americans see it. They saved us in World War II.
Well, Americans
blah, 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 blah.
Every film is Americanized, isn't it?
But,
they save the day, and that's what John Cleese.
And Jamie Lee Curtis' character basically corrects him on loads of things, and because he keeps saying, "Don't call me stupid," and she goes,
"How she's really cold and calculated and manipulative all the way through the film." And at the end, he says like one silly thing, and she just explodes on him. Yeah. Apparently, when they were making the film, they wanted her to stay cold and calculated all the way through, and she was like, "That's not going to work. I just can't." They did that scene over and over again. She's just like, "I'm just not comfortable. This scene just doesn't work. Let me go nuts on him." She went nuts on him, and that's what we got in the film. Yeah, spot on.
And the contrast, obviously, in the John Cleese and his wife getting ready for bed, which I was like, that's an old stereotypical 80s couple.
Separate beds.
That's
quite prevalent in today's society.
Do you think so?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a lot of married people end up having separate beds when they get to that age.
I don't want to be like
that. It is a thing that a lot of old people.
No, but it was like he's folding his socks, and then you've got the over dramatic Otto.
Talk Italian to me, and he's just saying, he's like saying the different types of cheese in French and stuff.
And the bouncing, and I just said to Kat, he's not doing anything in that.
Her legs just stay rigid in one space.
It is hilarious, and his face, it's brilliant.
It was classic, just old style slapstick humour.
It tickled one of my favourite points about films. When if you make a film where every single character is a despicable piece of shit, and still make a good film, because every single character in that is not a nice person.
They're not like evil, but they're just crooks.
Yeah, they're not evil. Every single person manipulates every single other person at least at one point.
I'd say John Cleese's character is probably the nicest person in the film. Obviously, you've got
the barrister.
Yeah, but he still kind of manipulates and tries to bum off with the money, the loot. He still goes for loot.
I'm not being funny. If I was in his position,
I absolutely would as well. Yeah.
Obviously, he was in a very what he thought. Well, it was a very loveless marriage.
Yes,
it was staying together because of convenience at the end.
For that awful daughter.
Called Porsche. Was it Porsche?
Yeah.
Who was like, I don't want this horse, blah, blah, blah. I want a nose job. And then she asks him a question saying, she's talking about plastic surgery. When you'll have to have a word with her. She doesn't give him any context. He's quite clearly reading. And then she says, you never listen to me. And I'm thinking, I don't want to listen to you either. And I'm not even in the same room as you.
I love the whole London setting. I love looking back at films from the 80s and this, all back and further on. I love seeing how things were, cars and buildings and the aesthetics of it all. I love it. I grew up watching that when I was a kid. I'd be left alone in the house at a reasonable age, and I remember going into my dad's wardrobe, and there was all these Predator, all VHSs.
Yeah, I remember.
And I remember just taking them one at a time off the wall and playing them. You know, as a young kid, you'd never think to watch A Fish Called Wanda.
No.
And I probably shouldn't have been watching like the Predator and stuff at the time, but I did. And these are some of my favourite films. And A Fish Called Wanda I watched it all the time. I loved it. I just love the humour, the comedy, the wittiness about the characters.
Yeah, the airport got very Monty Python.
Like the film ramps. It starts off quite serious. It's a bank heist. It's quite serious.
Yeah.
And as the film goes on, it just ramps up and ramps up the silliness. Like when he's eating, he's shoving the chips with his nose, and he's eating the fish, and then he's getting run over by a steamroller, but he survives it. Yeah. He's on the side of the plane.
Do you know that frightened me as a kid? You know, the music and the close up of the rollers of the steamroller. I was like, oh my god, as a kid, that really frightened me.
Yeah, man.
That whole sequence was great because it just reminds me of another film where it's
Austin Powers.
Is it Austin Powers?
Yeah, where he's about to run down the steamroller.
No, I had a joke with my missus about that actually. At the airport.
Like Deadpool as well, isn't it? With the
you're about to get run over by a Zamboni. Yeah.
But it was how he was distracting him as well, and it was literally saying,
Kenny, can I call you Kenny?
He was running out of things to say.
Yeah.
And he basically goes, look behind you, and he still looks, and he doesn't move. And then I was like, he stepped in that concrete. He wouldn't. And I was like, that was where logic. I was like, he would not have got stuck already. But because I'm enjoying this film, I'm going to allow it.
Don't look into it.
Because then he gets squished into the flat concrete, which makes him survive, and it's like... So there was a little bit of an error on it.
So when he's when Otto's interrogating Archie Leach, John Cleese's character, where he's like threatening him, and then he's standing up to him, and he's like, "What are you going to do?" And then the next shot is just John Cleese apologising. You're like, "Oh, why is he apologising?" And then the camera flips and pans out, and he's hanging him out the window perfectly straight.
I'm
sorry for everything I said. I take it all back. I was a very
because there was loads of people looking at that as well.
Yeah. They were watching it from down the street. I love because didn't he basically said to him, this is what the actually is about the Americans. He gives him some facts, doesn't he? He doesn't like it at all, so that's why he hangs him out. But I love when when he sneaks into his mansion when
he breaks into his own house.
And he's like, and he spots him, and he all comes out, and he has to pretend he's an agent or something, and he goes, "What's your name?" It's Mr. Manfredson.
And then his wife goes, "Well, Mr. Manfredson." Oh, brilliant! Because there's a scene where
touch his dick and you're dead.
Jamie Lee Curtis, Wanda, and John Cleese's character like having the affair. The wife turns up, and then he's there hidden, and he just pops out randomly, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And it's like, and she just goes with it. Like the wife's just like, "Yes, whatever's going on here."
It is brilliant.
John Cleese's character was great. They were just well-written characters, apart from, what is his name, Gary? Was it Gary?
Oh, Graham. So George Thompson,
the one that was in prison.
Yeah, the guy. So
the leader.
So George Thompson was played by a man called Thomas Georgeson.
Okay.
I just love that classic one. Like, what do we name? They took the actor's name and flipped his name.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Because he was obviously he made the plan, and he's got his little stooge. He's sent to go kill this old lady.
To go and kill the old lady.
But he obviously does appreciate what he's doing. It wasn't he's my subordinate relationship. He comes to his house. He knows what his fish are called. He knows that he'll understand. I've put it in the fish food and all that. So they are a proper team. But he goes through hell just for £1. And it's like, fair enough. You owe me £1. And the way they got it that made you even like him better was the fact that the old woman that he had to kill was an absolute bitch.
Yeah.
And she had horrible dogs as well. Fair enough, the comedy.
I couldn't. When the third dog died, that was me gone. I had to pause the film. I couldn't. Just his reaction.
Did you watch it with the missus?
No. I watched it when you suggested. So I watched it before we recorded. I watched it before we recorded last week's podcast. which is how I could give some information about the film. And just when he knocks off that last dog by accident, his reaction when he turns away from the window, I had to pause the film for a good 5 minutes.
So much,
His reaction when he gets down there and he's like looking at the dogs and then sees the old woman and it's like, and he puts flowers on the dogs' graves as well, and it's like, oh, but. Just the way that Doberman runs and picks up one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what would happen.
Yeah,
It would happen. That obviously happens now, and it is horrible. Especially as a dog owner, you don't want that to happen. But just in that whole element of that film, it was like,
he's laughing at them.
It was a good belly laugh film.
Yeah.
And especially because I watched it last night on a Sunday, it was a good end of the week laugh before
Monday
Blues. But I just loved it. And obviously at the end when he's got, my stutter's gone.
Yeah, my stutter, it's gone. And then everyone's descending on him like as he's driving this steamroller through an airport.
But it was the end, like literally the words that coming up and what they were doing, and it was like. I can't even remember the names of the characters apart from Otto.
Wanda.
Wanda.
Ken.
But they go and start a leper colony. And then Ken becomes the minister of SeaWorld or something. And Otto becomes the head of security in the Republic of Africa or something like that. I could be completely wrong. But
I can't remember them actually.
How are they out of prison? Well, fair enough, the two that went on the airport to Rio, fine. But obviously laws must be completely different. Do that stuff in an airport nowadays and you will not probably leave the airport.
Yeah, but this was the 80s, so obviously probably Otto would have got away. He's obviously got some sort of training. Ken, bloody hell.
It was quite clearly the 80s because how he flicked the gun round the metal detector. Imagine trying to do that now. What did you just do? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I forgot about that actually. When he literally just
flicks it round the side of the metal detector, and it's like the amount of people that have probably tried that in the past. But suspension of disbelief.
If that was me, yeah. I would have flicked it around the metal detector. I would have missed the catch. It would have landed on the floor and shot somebody. That would have been me, like 100%.
But Wanda's character was great. Fair enough, she was a manipulative bitch at the start of the film, but she was great at it, and she played everyone.
The original ending of the film it's implied at the end of on the plane. It's implied that she also then screws up when they get there. They get off the plane and she screws him out of it and just abandons him there. But when they tested that with audiences, they were like, "Oh, we don't.
Yeah.
Where's the actual love story?"
Yeah.
So they went back and did a lot of reshoots to all the kind of stuff that builds their relationship. Was all reshot to put in.
I like it that they end up together. I think it's great. He got away from obviously what you explained earlier, that horrible marriage that he was in, being rich. Because I suppose for the money, it's more like he doesn't really need it. He's rich.
Well, he was generally, you say because he went after the money, but he didn't go after the money.
Yeah,
he went after
the girl. Yeah.
Now, if you look at the whole him development, he was like really proud of him winning the case and everything, but he goes home and she doesn't care.
Yeah.
And then he has this.
I won the case.
Essentially, a fangirl comes over and he's like, someone actually is interested in me. But then that obviously develops into him getting to know her a bit better than this fangirl. Fair enough, she's very, very attractive. But his character comes out and he comes out of his shell, which is probably what he was like when he met his wife.
Yeah.
So he gets and he says, I get a lease for life again. And they haven't even done anything apart from actually kiss at that point.
First base, as the Yanks would say.
Yeah. So she's improving him, and then when she basically says, "Are you rich?" kind of thing, it breaks his heart, and he breaks up with her because he doesn't want to be in a relationship where she's only with him for that particular thing. But then you obviously see her side of the reaction when he ends it. So there's generally, you actually see the emotional development of those characters, which is nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's spot on. It's very good.
Yeah.
So it's all enjoyed. We all enjoyed it.
Yeah,
hopefully the audience
it was good.
enjoyed it as
It
well.
was a good belly laugh film. Made me happy. It wasn't like some films that.
Oh yeah, John's allergic to anything that doesn't have a happy ending.
No, it's not some films that don't make sense, like Shoot 'Em Up, which is the lost film of our podcast.
Or the most depressing stuff on the planet, Black Mirror. Never speak to you again about that shit.
Yeah, I'm not watching that.
You are the only two people who enjoyed it and won't watch it again.
Yeah, no way, no. I don't need that depression in my life. We've been there. We've got to move on. To guess the character. It's 5-3 on points. Mm-hmm. Harry has already mentioned on last week's podcast that John needs to win. Because there's 3 weeks left in the year. John needs to win every single week.
If I win one more, that's it done.
We'll still carry on.
Oh yeah,
because it'll go down on record. I know it's been a short year because we only started a few months ago, but next year,
September. Next
year we'll obviously start from January up to December. But there will be a prize at the end of this year. So should we start this week's guess the character?
No.
You don't want to?
No, we'll just stop now. Bonk, bonk,
That's all we have time for today. Okay, you ready for the clues? John, are you paying attention?
I am paying attention.
I know you are, I'm making sure. Okay. So the first clue is money.
Yeah.
Past. Miserable.
Mr.
Present.
Scrooge?
Correct.
Oh, there you go.
Very good.
I was going to say Scrooge McDuck, but I was thinking, he's not going to know that. It's going to be Mr. Scrooge.
I was going to play up and go, you need to give me his first name.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yes, I know. But yeah, I've chose him because leading up to Christmas, we'll have a couple of Christmassy characters now it's December. So yeah,
there's a clue for next week.
So the next clue was
future.
Well, present, then future, then Christmas. So well done. So the scores are 5-4. So yeah, if you win the next two,
the next one.
Sorry.
If you win the next one, then the final one will be going in as a draw.
Yes, but then if John wins.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously we're going to air an episode for Christmas Day, the way it falls.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to, if it is a draw, we're going to have to do a sudden death round.
Yep.
And I've already got that planned out. So if that happens, that's going to be entertaining.
It's not going to happen now.
So that's all we have time for today.
Really? Missing something?
Go on.
Film of the week.
Sorry, yes, John, well done. That should have actually came before.
Yeah, I was thinking when I looked at you, there was like, you haven't picked the film of the week.
2 weeks off and it all falls apart.
I know.
You know, it's just,
say?
I'm not with it today.
So I'll just, you can go into the details. I decided there's a film that none of us have watched.
Yep.
And it's quite new on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided let's go with Mowgli: The Legend of the Jungle, which got released last Friday on Netflix. So it's similar to Annihilation. It was supposed to get released in the films, and
in the cinema.
In the cinema,
yeah,
in the films. It's supposed to get released in the cinema, but it's gone straight to Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And it's done by Andy Serkis. Is it Serkis?
Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
Does he play all the animals?
No, he plays Baloo in it.
It's a darker version,
It's a darker version of the tale, but it's got some really good people in it. Like, it's got Benedict Cumberbatch as Shere Khan.
Christian
Bale's in it.
Kate
Blanchett in.
Wasn't there a Jungle Book not long ago?
Yeah, we talked about it.
That was Disney though. So
that was called Mowgli, wasn't it?
No, that was just the Jungle Book.
This one's Mowgli.
Yeah.
That one was the Jungle Book. This one was originally going to be called The Jungle Book.
This one's closer to the source material, the Rudyard Kipling book, which is.
So it hasn't got like any King Louis in because King Louis was made by Disney.
Okay.
But I watched the trailer for it because A Fish Called Wanda was on Netflix, and when you loaded it up, this film was there, and I was thinking, well, it's quite new. None of us are going to watch it, so we're all going with no previous. Yeah,
we've done a lot. We've done a lot of films from we haven't done anything in the last 5 years, so to do a brand new film is probably a good idea. Yeah,
it's on Netflix. We could do we'll have to probably say spoilers, but it is based on the Jungle Book, so it's going to be. Have you read the Jungle Book?
Yeah, and no one's going to go in this with any preconceptions. Like Mike already liked the film. Like Mike knew his film and already seen it. None of us know this. None of us have seen it.
So I'm interested.
I'm a little bit concerned what it's going to be like. I don't think it's going to be
I'm not
entirely
going
great.
I'm not going to look at any reviews or anything before I watch it.
One thing that's made me laugh is, I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube, Andy Serkis today posted a video of Theresa May, and I was thinking, he's done that to try and get some so people are going to search his name and say, he's done a new film.
It was
on
yesterday.
Netflix.
It was yesterday.
But it is terrifying.
Yeah,
he's done Gollum as Theresa May, and it's absolutely terrifying. But so Mowgli, The Legend of the Jungle Book, directed by Andrew Serkis and starring Andrew Serkis with a weird-looking balloon.
Okay, so that's all we have time for today. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Remember, you can find us on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
Please like and subscribe.
Please
comment. Give us feedback. I think it's probably better for us.
Yeah, give us some feedback on the.
It doesn't matter if you're mean. Me and Mike can take it.
Yeah. So give us some feedback on the film choices, the discussions. If any of you guessed the character, let us know. One more thing, Harry, go on.
Cut this out at the end, and then add him. What if, for the Christmas movie of the week, we take user-generated, what's everyone's famous Christmas film, and the Christmas film will be...
Die Hard.
No! Don't even...
It is a Christmas film, by the way.
Right, but we don't need to point it out every year.
Okay. No, we won't cut it out. That's something to think about.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so join us next time. More Overthinking at Overthinking Media. See you later.